What's up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. It has been a long time since I've made a long form YouTube video, but today we're talking about this little kiln. This is a tiny little ceramic kiln, and so we're doing a review video. So first thing I want to talk about my experience running this kiln for the first time. This was the first load that I did. You can see a couple pots in there. Then second, I want to talk about the pros and the cons of if you were to buy this kiln. Like, what are the good things? What are the bad things? Who is this kiln really for? Like, if you make certain things or whatever it is, who is the type of person that would benefit from buying this kiln? So we have pots for sale at themochamonkey.com. So we swapped from selling pots on Etsy to now selling pots on themochamonkey.com. So check out pots if you want to buy them online. And we are doing the Epic Pottery event again this year. So August 9th and 10th, come check out the studio. It's my biggest sale and my biggest event all year long, so come check it out. Okay, so this kiln, Vevor, they sent me those little wheels. So they had those really inexpensive wheels. You can buy them for like 150 bucks, 200 bucks, 250 bucks. And they sent me a couple of them, and I did some review videos about those a few years ago. And I've gotten many messages from people saying like, hey, I saw your video and I got that kiln or that wheel and it's been great. And similar to that, like, they reached out to me and said, would you like to do a collaboration video about this kiln? And it piqued my interest, right? You see it on here. It's $392 for this kiln. And I think probably the biggest pro that I'll talk about is the power, right? The power for most kilns is going to be 220, 240. You're going to have a professional electrician come in and wire it, and it can be as or more expensive than a kiln. If you go buy a kiln online on Marketplace or a used one, you're gonna spend more probably to wire it than you are the actual kiln. Now, a normal big kiln, you might spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and then you might spend another $1,000 to wire it. This one is $110. So you get it, you pull it out of the box, you plug it into your wall, and it works. So that's pretty cool. One of the reasons why I thought that's really interesting, and I think it would benefit, people to see it. So yesterday we ran it for the first time. I'll just turn it on right now so you can see what it looks like. And everything is in Celsius. So right now it is set to 1200 Celsius, which is somewhere in the vicinity of like cone 5-ish, something like that. And then up here it's at 20 degrees Celsius, right? So right now it's not running. I'm not going to go through exactly how to do it because it comes with instructions and you can figure that out. But basically what I did is I set it at 1200 and just let it go. And I'm assuming that that meant that it just went as fast as possible. You can set the time and temp, so you can set like different segments, which is what a normal kiln would do. You can set like 1 hour, go up by 250 degrees Celsius. Hour 2, go up by another 200 degrees Celsius. So that's what that's all doing there. But if I just want it to run, then I just hold the P button, and then that two little lights start blinking. And so now it's starting to heat up, right? And I was actually amazed at how fast it heated up. I mean, within an hour, it was at like bisque temperature, like cone 07, at 800 Celsius. And it probably took an hour and a half to maybe a little over an hour and 45 minutes to get all the way up to 1200 degrees Celsius. So that, in my opinion, was quite fast, right? I had these little cups in there because I have a custom order right now for this client wants like this green glaze on top with a white on the bottom. So I was testing two different ones. And this looks a little different than it would in my electric kiln, but not too different. The top looks pretty much the same. And then the white gloss glaze looks a little different, but pretty much the same. And then this is my Northern Lights glaze. I can already feel, just from turning it on, I can feel that it's warm in there. So this Northern Lights glaze, I've been doing literally forever, right? Some of my first pots I ever sold online like 8 years ago was this glaze combo. And that looks pretty darn good. So I had a cone in here too, but it fell out, or it got stuck to the side just because I put it there wrong. But it definitely got to cone 5, and it might have gotten all the way to cone 6, even though it says that 1200 is the top temp, and it got to like 1202. but I actually think it got a little hotter than that. So there's a lot of testing that could go into it, and I just don't have enough time to test all the different scenarios, but it definitely got hotter than I thought it was gonna, and it got there a lot faster than I thought it was gonna, which was interesting. So that was my experience. Pulled these out of the kiln. Those turned out, yeah, great. I would assume that they would be, it at least got to cone 5. It might have been more like cone 6. I'll go through the pros and cons. So obviously the power is a huge pro. To be able to just plug this into any wall, anywhere, apartments, is great. The price, $400 for a kiln. Like if you scour Marketplace, you could maybe get like a normal kiln for $500, $600, $700 that works. But if you want to buy a new one, you're not going to be able to buy one for less than $2,000 probably, and this is $400. It's pretty easy to use. It didn't take me too long to figure out the buttons. Pretty self-explanatory. When this is blinking, it's running. You can set the time, temperature, all those things. I mean, it's already gone from 20 to 40 just since I've been talking here. So pretty easy to use. The speed was super fast, how fast it got up. The size, pretty much you're gonna fit this anywhere. It's maybe like twice the size of a microwave. The ease of use, it's like just really easy to get into it, right? It's kind of makes the whole pottery process maybe a little more accessible for people. So I'd say the biggest con, although it was a pro that the size of it's small, the fact that you can really only fit, like that's really hot already. So I'm gonna just turn it off. The fact that I can fit like a little mini mug, a little bud vase, and a shot cup if I wanted to put 3 pieces in there. If I want to put a mug in there, you're gonna be able to fit like basically 1 mug in there. So that's a little limiting, for someone like me that's, used to cranking out at least 50 to 100 mugs per kiln load. That's gonna be not really realistic. But, and then the heat, like it says it tops out at 1200. We got it to cone 6 probably. Could it go hotter than that? I'd have to test it further. But it seems like 1200 is the highest that it lets you set it at. So that would be the other con, is that if you want to try cone 7, 8, 9, 10, that it doesn't really seem, even though it seems like it should be able to get there really easily because of how quickly it got to cone 6, I don't know if you would really be able to push it, and then how you would control, like understanding if it's getting to that temperature and just creating replicatable results. So those are some pros and cons. Okay, so who would benefit from this? So people that I think about when I think about someone that would would benefit from having a kiln like this would be someone that's really a beginner, that, getting a full-size $2,000 or, installing a real kiln is just too much. This is a great way to get started. If you're not really gonna make very much, or if you wanna make small things, then this is a great way to get into it and have your own kiln without having to have a big kiln. Or if you have access to a big community studio where they have kilns that you fire most of your stuff, but you want to be able to fire a few things, at your house or in your garage or something, then this would be a great thing for you. The other types of people I think it would be great for is like jewelry artists. If you're gonna make really small things, you could pack this kiln full of like little pendants or little tiny pieces of jewelry that are clay. It would be great for that. Miniature pots, like if you're gonna make really even smaller vases than this, like tiny little ones, you could probably fit 10 or 20 of them into a small kiln like this. So it'd be great for miniature pottery. I could see it working really well as a tester kiln. So like kind of what I did here, where I was testing 2 different, I've never done this exact glaze, but I have a project that I'm working on that I need something kind of like this. So if you want, you could fire it in the morning and unload it the same day. You could do multiple in a day if you wanted, to just see like, how did that turn out? Because it gave me a pretty good idea. Now, if I fire this in my electric kilns or my gas kilns to a little bit hotter, is it gonna turn out just looking like this? Probably not, but it's gonna give me a good idea. And then the last application I can see would be using decals or overglaze, where you fire up to a lower temperature like cone 018, something where you're putting a decal on there and then firing it on over the glaze. That's a pretty common thing. So if you only have to do 1 or 2 of those at a time, then you could easily do them in here. It probably wouldn't take more than 45 minutes to get it up and then a couple hours to cool down. So you could do a couple throughout the day if you wanted to do those, you know, lusters or overglaze, decals, stamps, those sort of things. So that is my experience with the Vevor little mini kiln. That's it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. I thought it was super interesting, and let me know. Let me know. And what did I miss? Would it work for you? Would you be interested in trying something like this? I can't see myself using it a ton, but the speed of how quickly it was able to get up was very interesting. So I could see myself using it for a test here and there, but other than that, I don't know. All right, thanks to Vevor for shipping that out, and we'll see you guys in the next video.